So welcome everybody to this session with Confire as an opportunity for us to learn more about fire, how to protect ourselves and mitigate against wildfire danger. And we're going to learn more about the Firewise program, what are the benefits of the program, and how neighbors like us can come together to become a Firewise community to reduce our risks. We also want to learn what the city and the county can be doing to provide assistance to help us. And tonight, I actually want to thank the Lafayette Emergency Preparedness Commission for sending representatives to join us, including the chair, Duncan Siebert, and one of the members, Michael. Is Michael still on the call? But Duncan, would you like to just give a quick intro of you and any other commission members that are here with us?
Sure. Thank you. I'm Duncan Siebert. I'm chair of the Lafayette Emergency Preparedness Commission. The commission's reason for being is to prepare for all hazard emergencies within the city of Lafayette. We work on the emergency operations plan for the city, and we work on any special projects like any hazard mitigation plans. We have 7 members. We're all volunteers. We meet once a month. For the last couple of years, it's been on Zoom, and you're all welcome to send a request through the city website. Join in on those meetings. We have one coming up tonight. If you're interested, you can send a request and get an invitation to that. On the call tonight, we have our liaison to the police department, Kathy Surgis-Moscato, and Michael was on earlier. I don't see him on right now. And I thought I saw Carol. Both are commissioners and very active on the commission.
And I believe we also have John Cornell from the Lafayette Police Department joining us too. Good, thank you, Chair Duncan. And so I'd also like to introduce Taylor King, who is going to be our main speaker tonight, an educator. He's with Confire, which is short for Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. And many of you already know that the city of Lafayette, we don't have our own fire department. We contract with the county to provide fire prevention services to us. And so Taylor is going to be the representative speaking to us and walking us through the program. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Taylor to introduce himself and some of his presentation tonight.
Fantastic. Hey, thank you for having me all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, warm welcome.
It's gonna be good that we're gonna get chatting through this. So I've got a small PowerPoint presentation that's gonna kind of help break down what Firewise is, what it's not, what the program entails, and kind of how we get that ball rolling on it. A little background about myself. I'm the fire inspector. I was actually your guys' Lafayette area inspector for a while when I was doing code enforcement, but now I've kind of moved on and I'm located in the Community Risk Reduction Division now, where I'm pretty much the point person for defensible space, Firewise, AB 38 inspections as well. We're messing around my screen. As well as kind of handling complaints in the neighborhoods and all throughout the county as well. I've been a fire inspector now for just a shade under 3 years. I've been in the fire suppression game for another department in Sacramento for about 5. Prior to being in the fire department, I was 8 years in the United States Army, where I did I was an armor crewman over there. So without further ado, I'm going to swap over my screen here. So I want to kind of keep this informal. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask, or we can always just kind of hold on until the end. Either way. This is only 10 slides long. So Firewise, what is Firewise, right? So Firewise is a nationally recognized program through the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, right? That provides a collaborative framework for neighbors in a geographic area to get organized, find direction, and take action to increase our ignition resistance of our homes and our community, and to reduce our overall wildfire risks at our local level, right? The overall goal of Firewise is to bring communities together, reduce our wildfire risk, and get prepared, right? In the Army, they told us, what is it? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So if we kind of take that, look into it, right? A little prior planning goes a long way. Firewise is not a regulatory program. So it is voluntary. It is participant driven. And I'm going to help you guys get started. And after that, pretty much once it leaves my hand, it's run by you guys. So the NFPA or the local fire department, Confire, that's us. We cannot make people join your guys' Firewise community. And unfortunately, we cannot make those that don't want to do the work, right? Because overall, we want to try to make our communities as safe as we can by reducing that overall risk. So how do we become Firewise? So first we have to organize, which is exactly what it sounds like you guys have already done now, right? We formed a board or a committee or our neighborhood watch, whatever we are going to use, right? That is comprised of residents and other stakeholders, right? You collaborate on identifying your site's boundary and size. So we can kind of, I'm looking at a map here, open it up. We'll have to kind of go over this with everyone to see how we want to do our border here, but you guys are actually pretty close to a recognized Firewise community already, which is Glen Road. Not sure if you guys knew that one. The minimum requirements for a Firewise community are 8 households. So as long as we have 8 participating households, we can create a Firewise community. We definitely don't want to go over the maximum of 2,500. But if we needed to, it can get up to that high. So as well as organizing, we're going to plan. So you will need to obtain the community wildfire risk assessment. So you can either get that from myself or you can find it online at the NFPA's website if you type in Firewise. I can always send that out to you guys if you want to take a better look at it, kind of familiarize yourself with it, but I'll always bring one with us to our, when we go to do our risk assessment that we'll cover a little later on. So just continuing on how we become Firewise. So the assessment will be community-wide. Emphasis will be on general conditions of our homes related to certain ignition zones, possible retrofitting and home hardening options, as well as vegetation management. So our assessment, which is our wildfire community risk assessment, is a living document and will eventually need to be updated at a minimum of every 5 years. On top of our risk assessment, we'll also have to develop an action plan, a 3-year action plan, which is that prioritized list of risk reduction projects and investments specific to your guys' community. And those will need to be updated on every 3 years. I have examples of those if you would like to see those as well. So doing it, right? Because then, right, this is where the rubber meets the road. So we need to host outreach events and work together with our neighbors on addressing the items that are listed in our action plan, right? Our efforts will go toward our site's annual wildfire risk reduction investment. So there is an investment that is required in blood, sweat, and equity, or you can do the monetary equivalent of that, sweat equity as $25, I think is the 1 hour volunteer monetary equivalent. So each participating household is required to put in at least 1 hour annually, right? The more homes that we have, the more that investment kind of grows. So 100 homes, 100 hours of work toward, risk reduction. There are a lot of things that count underneath that risk reduction that I kind of have a little listed later. Sometimes actually just talking with me about our plan is actually counts towards that 1 hour. So it's not always, getting out there and grinding and doing the work. Sometimes just consulting with experts will also count for that hour as well. Also there at the bottom, right? So we'll need to create a site profile at the portal.firewise.org where we'll submit all of our applications like our community wildfire risk assessment and our action plan. Creating the profile is going to come down on the shoulders of whoever our point person for this community will be. And there's always ways where we can, I can help walk you through it, but ultimately, hey, I can't create it for you guys. So there are some benefits. Sorry if I'm interrupting anybody here. Whoop, there we go. So benefits of being a Firewise community, right? Ultimately, that primary goal and that ultimate benefit is creating and maintaining your guys' firewood community in good standing that overall reduces your guys' community's risk. It also kind of brings you together closer as a community. So if you may not know some people that are in your neighborhood, this is a really good time to get together and to kind of build on that common goal. Now, I have been told that some homeowners insurance companies may provide you guys a discounted rate. I only know of, I think 2 of those, and I want to say they're Mercury and USAA. I do believe, hopefully, other insurance companies out there may help out by kind of incentivizing a little bit by giving some sort of discounted rate. There's also more grant money that's available for Firewise communities to do the work. And specifically, I actually sit on the board of the Diablo Fire Safe Council, where they have 5 grants that are available at $20,000 a piece toward fuel reduction efforts. The usual grant that the Diablo Fire Safe Council gives is $5,000. So you're already looking at, quadrupling the money given just for being a recognized and in good standing Firewise community. And actually last year too, the city of Lafayette, the police department partnered with Republican Services and Confire and Cal Fire, and they did hold, oh man, the lights just went out of here. They actually came together to drop off green waste bins to Firewise communities that were participating. So if you were to do the work, Republican Services was nice enough to drop off a very large green waste dumpster. And I think, well, Duncan can speak to that one as well. And then you would just, at that point, we took all that stuff from the green waste and we went and ran it through a chipper. I think Contra Costa County even had their own hand crew 12, kind of help assist with those efforts. Last I have checked, there is nothing on the books yet for anything like that. However, I have heard some stuff floating around about the city of Lafayette kind of partnering with these Firewise communities to kind of help further incentivize it as well. Just got the lights back on here. Sorry about that. So here's just some examples of those time and expense investments that we chatted about earlier. So that one volunteer hour equivalent to $25.43 if you weren't wanting to actually put in that 1 hour of volunteer work yourself, you can pay the equivalent of that, and that will be okay. So just some examples included, but are not limited to, right? Consulting with forestry and fire professionals. That'd be myself, coordinating educational presentations or outreach. So if you wanted to reach the neighboring neighborhood, that would also work as well. Any repairs to retrofit or harden your homes with certain building materials counts as part of that time and expense investment. Removing combustible debris, like it kind of changes it, so you can go from repairing your home, talking with professionals, to actually getting out there and doing some of the work yourself, removing that debris, delimbing and removing lower hanging tree branches, mowing your guys' lawns, things that as property owners we're already doing. So now that we have our 8 houses that want to participate, so pretty much I'm going to say that you guys are kind of here right now. If you guys decide that you wanted to do this, this is going to be our next step. So we will then determine what day works best for just about everybody or as many participants as we can. I will then come out to your neighborhood and we'll conduct a neighborhood walkthrough using your guys' homes as examples of how to complete this home hazard assessment, where we'll kind of walk through a bunch of the zones. We'll go through our 0 to 5 foot zone and we'll talk about what we should and should not have. We'll go to our 5 to 30 and our 30 to 100. We'll kind of do, it's just a exterior walk around of our properties. So if you don't want to show us your backyard, you don't have to, but we can at least go to the front of our yards and say, hey, this is what we're doing well. This is where we can change things. This is where we can better prepare our homes and for this reason why. So we will need to designate a point person for our community, and then that person and I will then complete and submit our community wildfire risk assessment, and then we'll talk about the next steps, which was creating that portal on firewise.org. So our home walk around kind of looks similar to these. We talk about these 3 zones. I really hope that you guys can see this, but that immediate zone being that 0 to 5 foot, that intermediate, right, being that 5 to 30, and then that extended being the 30 to 100 foot zone. So we look at the vegetation within these 3 zones. We look at how we can improve or possibly retrofit our structures, what's going to be the best bang for our buck, and we can come up with a prioritized list of things that we can add into our action plan. After we use some of these homes as examples, we'll then look at our access and egress routes in and out of the neighborhood. What is nice is that there are some ways in and out of your guys' neighborhood. You're not all choked into, one way in and one way out. Let's see. Questions? Perfect. So I pretty much covered what we need to cover. If you guys want to feel free to take down my contact information, what I will do is I will also put it down here in the chat. And we can always open it up for a bunch of questions. And if I don't have the question right now, I promise I'll write it down and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So I'm going to go ahead end the screen sharing.